I am good, and it's just an honor to talk to you. I have followed your newsletters online and used your advice for many years. And
Awesome.
my focus is to coach voices on stage. I'm a director, and I work with voices on stage and a vocal coach. I have my own studio.
Your
And
resume is amazing. Yes.
oh, thank you.
Your website is
coachingstudiosite.com.
Coaching Studio Site, SITE.com.
Yes.
And check out Chrissie Addison there. Kudos to you for being willing, being a voice coach, seasoned voice coach, who's still willing to learn. Me too, man. I hope I never stop learning. I just dig that hole for me at that point.
Yeah. Well, the styles change, as you know.
Right.
And it's become more of a belting industry.
It has.
And I get young students about age 12. Sometimes I'll take a 10-year-old if they're really pulling down roles on stage and such. And I'm real fascinated right now about some of the stuff that has been on of recent about the pharyngeal mixing.
Mm-hmm.
I run into the situation, in the old days we called it the lift or the break in head voice, and I was trained so long ago up and through graduate school. My voice was more formal and more operatic, but I've always spent all my life on stage. So here we are with this new blending idea, and
right, and even musical theater is much more, using that much more than it used the
yes
in the past. So yeah, I find that musical theater and pop are getting very close together, and even rap now.
Yes,
with Hamilton and all that. Okay,
so that blending point, to access exercises, the nay, and right. I do a lot of hooting and funny sounds to get. But I just wondered, because I often run into people, what you might suggest in terms of exercises who just insist on belting, and then nothing up here. I need exercise, new ones to address that mixed voice, which so often songs require on stage.
You got it.
And at auditions.
First of all, what I advise, you've probably read the blog post where then, if you've been following my blog, about the fact that I lost my voice due to an endotracheal tube and got it back. Well, I have not had much classical training. I just had just enough that I was able to use some of the Italian art songs that I had been taught and use those with my head voice to get my voice back. Because I'm primarily a popular genre, a contemporary vocalist.
Yeah.
Have been since I was 17 throughout my vocal career.
Right.
But I don't think I would have ever gotten my voice back to the point where I could continue to do session work and eventually, become an artist with a #1 record and stuff like that without strengthening my head voice. So
right.
With all these singers that are coming in, I don't want to do classical music. I just want to do, contemporary voice. What I remind them of is if you're not, I don't teach classically, but I always, anybody that has had classical training, I'm like, you need to continue to have that strength in your head voice because that will affect your lower voice, but that will help your lower voice mix. But the problem then with classical singers, though, who come and want to do contemporary genre singing is, of course, they've strengthened their head voice, but their chest voice is weak and the mix is non-existent. So what they end up doing is they do the same thing as people that have never even trained their head voice. They just sing, they belt this complete, just unmixed chest voice. So both of those types of singers are in trouble. Mm-hmm. So what I noticed through my healing, my own voice and my recovery and my journey towards this method that I teach is that up is always back and so is down. So let me explain that. Okay. If I go straight up, and to me that's the difference in the voice path for classical, more of a classical sound and a contemporary sound. It's a little bit more frontal with the classical sound and a little bit brighter, as you can hear my speaking voice change. The cave goes that way a little bit more. a contemporary voice. So watch how my voice doesn't mix when I go straight up, and then watch what I do to fix it. And I've always had a break. I've had a terrible break most of my career, and I can still have it, and then I cannot have it.
What note is your break on? Usually,
Well, it changes. What I've done now is I can mix my voice. The trick is to make the top of the chest voice sound just like the bottom of the head voice, so that you can actually move that place that you cross according to the tone, exact tone that you want for the emotional value. So mine, I used to have trouble starting about a B flat. Now I can sing a full voice pretty consistently, a D. So, but the trick, of course, is being able to go across to my head voice without anybody knowing it.
And without sounding too airy and...
Exactly. Yes. So watch. If I go, I'm going to do a siren straight up, and I'm going to do it this way.
Okay.
No break.
And when you say you're pulling back, Judy, you're actually the back of the throat is spazzing open, like the boiled egg theory back there, and you are thinking back with.
Here's the thing, Chrissie. I get away from even talking much about the larynx until somebody really needs me to tell them, no, you don't need to. This is why you don't need to lift it, but neither do you need to freeze it.
Right.
The thing about what this is what I call pulling in general. You use the word to pull. And what that does is it suspends the larynx and suspends the diaphragm so that you get great breath control from a wide diaphragm, and you also suspend the larynx so the thyroid cartilage can tilt in your neck as it needs to, and slightly lift and slightly lower. But your voice, you never should be aware of what's happening in your vocal cords at the vocal cord level. If you are, something you miss.
Right, Judy, more placement. And that's I don't use the L word in the studio, but the placement then is in back, and you're lifting and back. Well,
here's the thing, and let me show you a picture, Chrissie.
Okay.
And I always give him credit. Jeffrey Allen is a coach out in Los Angeles, who I think he's in LA still, who came up with this picture in his Secrets of Singing book. And he allows me to use it with my method. So I'm so grateful, because when I looked at this book, one of my early students brought in his book because they couldn't understand it, and they wanted me to translate it for them. So thank God, because I got to read it. And when I saw that shape, light bulbs went off, because I knew that's what works when I do it. I recognized it. And so I ended up putting using it to put my method together. But it's like pelvic floor is where you should sense the power coming from. Obviously your lungs are in your chest, but that, if you squeeze you'll squeeze, here's the Martian popping thing, you'll squeeze your rib cage open instead of push it tight by coming from the diaphragm area. If you come from your tailbone area, like you're riding a horse downhill. Okay. So pelvic floor, and then not through don't sense your power is sending your voice through your throat. Instead, sense sending your power above and behind you to open up, and that opens up your resonance. It opens up your throat tract so that the laryngeal vibration reaches the resonation surfaces that note wants. Okay. It also allows the automatic nervous system to configure the larynx, because you're just busy, suspending it. You suspend the larynx in the throat, and you're coming from the pelvic floor, so you got great breath control. And then you go far. You use the word itself, the articulation of the word itself, to pull the word to the heart you're talking to. So you're, in essence, you're powering your resonance cave open and then just shaping sound.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, so power, the path through the open throat, and performance, meaning knowing who you're talking to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when you do that, if you want to be louder, you pull through that shape stronger. So if I go, yeah, yeah, that's pushing, that's belting. Yeah. Okay. But if I go, yeah, yeah, my throat never felt a thing. Whereas the first time I couldn't even demonstrate that very many times in a row.
You're right.
This time is not only loud, but I think you might have heard more resonance. It's a richer tone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very protective. I mean, I've been so fortunate to watch many people's voices heal from real damage.
Yes.
By doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's by continuing to sing when they've been diagnosed with stuff, with polyps.
Right. All kinds of things. It's the throat industry. Yeah.
So that's kind of the method behind the madness. Now, then, of course, if I can get people realize, okay, that's what we're doing, but now you can't think about it too much. You've got to create muscle memory. So most people have been pushing so long that to get this this stretching going on, that, you know, this pull going on, it almost feels like you're singing in reverse. If I go push, pull, you see it in action. You know, it's almost like Jamie Vandera is another coach that I really like, and he calls it the inhalation. He's a rock coach, so he works with a lot of real heavy, you know, metal people and stuff, and he calls it the inhalation sensation, and it's the same thing. All right, so and that's creating both breath support, so you're sending air forward, but also breath control. Now, as you probably know about the idea of keeping the note on top, you know, like feeling like you're coming from above the note rather than pushing up to it, right?
That's a good reminder, yeah.
Yeah, if you're in this path, or, you know, classically would be a little bit different shape, I think.
Right.
If you're in this path, you're always going to be coming from above where you have to be. And at some point, nothing will come out, but it won't hurt your throat.
Yeah, a lot of throat industry concerns, you know.
Right.
20 performances in 3 weeks.
Right. This, with doing it this way, it pulls, that's like the center of the open throat. It pulls the throat open in 3 different directions. So
the, not that I need to know this, but just so I understand, when you say the larynx is suspended, there is, and it's been so long since I have a chart, I have basics, but I hardly ever look at those things anymore. There actually is something that's pulling up and opening up, which is accessing more resonance cavities. You know, I focus on these a lot, especially with soprano. But this whole area, your whole head is a resonating cavity. So with this thing opening up and the focus coming up the back.
Right. Let me show you something you probably will recognize, except I laminated them side by side because they just happen to show the difference. Again,
perfect.
And this is my picture that I use for the open throat. That's real simple.
Yes.
Right. So, of course, this medical model happened to show it tight, and then that one showed it open. All right. So I turned that into a picture like this, a little bit more simple, simplistic. So you can see what I found that works for people is thinking that this channel here, this forked channel that's so tight here, it opens 3 ways. So they don't even have to know about, you know, all the intrinsic and extrinsic muscles working the larynx and all that stuff. But if you think of the double ceiling being the soft palate and the back of the nasal membrane, the pharynx back there, that's where the eustachian tube falls. If you think of that as lifting up and back a little bit to open the ceiling for the voice cave, and the tongue getting a free ride with the jaw, And so you're articulating more with the tip and front sides of the tongue rather than the back, which bulks it up. Then the tongue and jaw can fall. That's the floor. And then the back wall is the actual spine. That's the neck bone right there. And let me get my little model here. I use this to show that if I could move the neck bone back ever so slightly, that channel could double. So the move is that. And I double teamed someone with some people with an Alexander practitioner, the technique practitioner, and he was showing me that what I'm wanting to do is actually right there at the occipital bone. If I tap that with students, that just comes up. Or we do wall work, with the head against the wall. Almost everyone that comes into my office has their head too far forward.
Yes.
So I have them do wall work, and you can have them sing at the wall. But now, you asked me at the very beginning of this about an exercise. That's kind of the theory behind it.
Thank you. It's
so
really helpful. Yeah.
This is the exercise to create muscle memory to begin with. Okay. And that's find out in the first place if they can do a bubble or a trill. Or I'm a better bubbler. But it doesn't really matter. And every once in a while you find somebody that can't do either. And
I know. Isn't that funny?
I'll go for the siren. So let's go for the siren, but you can do the same thing with the lip trill or the tongue trill, lip bubble or the tongue trill. And that is this. Ooh. You move the jaw 3 times and pull an imaginary bungee cord that's 45 degrees here. Ooh. Like that. So you move drop the jaw, and you're lifting you're using your eyes too. I'll have them drop the jaw and raise the eyebrows at the same time.
Can I do that with you?
Ooh, yeah, absolutely. Please do. So we're going to start with just ooh. And use your fingertips. Have people use their fingertips that become a mic or become stage hands. What the hands do and the arms do can either sabotage breath control or enable it. So we start like this, and if you press your fingertips into each other, you can widen your rib cage. You feel that? Okay. So you're going to go, ooh, just say, ooh, ooh. Right. And so your head goes up, ooh, and you can twist a little bit. There's nothing stiff about it. Ooh. Mm-hmm. So your head is sort of rocking on its axis. Rocking back, not lifting the chin, as you know, not dropping the chin too far, but just like a horse, like a horse's head that's walking. Ooh. Ooh. So you pull yourself tall, and most of the time I'll have them at the wall so that they'll, put their head against the wall and realize that they have to stay there, and that keeps them safe when they first start doing this.
Yes.
Ooh. So then the full exercise is pull 3 times. Pull to start the siren, pull on the high part of the siren, and pull at the end to follow through. So you set it up, hit the high note, follow through. Ooh. It's like chewing gum. Ooh.
So helpful.
Try it.
Ooh. The end part doesn't feel right yet, but
when you come back down, ooh, that's why because that's where people have trouble coming back down to middle voice. That's where you re-stretch it. See, at a 45-degree angle. Ooh, I'm acting like I'm going out the back top of my head.
Okay.
Ooh. And you got to do it that last time too. Ooh. And if you pull again, instead of dropping your head, if you pull tall again, you'll help yourself not break. the wrinkle will just be stretched out. Ooh. Ooh is what most people do.
Okay.
Ooh.
Wow. When I sometimes I have students throw into this big, beautiful lamp in the studio, and it's a way to kind of work that mid-resonance to lay down various techniques that I've worked over the years. And what do you think about just right away in the first 5-minute warm-up doing a woo, woo, and work in various pitches, woo,
You know what though? I would submit that you're going forward. Have them do a tug of war with that exercise.
Oh, okay.
Woo, 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 woo. It works on anything, but go backwards.
Tug of war is going backwards. Woo!
Back to the top.
Woo!
Back out the back top of your head like a laser beam going to the balcony above and behind you. Woo!
Woo!
That's it. Now try it on different pitches and see how it doesn't feel more open. Woo, or woo, 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 woo. Same thing.
Oh, I'm really getting this now.
Yeah, it's so different.
It's
But it's
wonderful.
definitely the way to help your belters belt like a magic trick.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that then their voices never feel a thing. And they're always protected. And the sound that they're looking for comes from resonation rather than excess air pressure.
Exactly. Oh, so helpful. I really appreciate all the
You got
placement ideas. And
You got it.
I can use this so much with everything else, but this will be my focus so much for a strong period of time here. I know that this will incorporate really well in what I'm doing.
Well, thank you, Chrissie. And again, I just respect you so much for, like me, being willing to always, learn something else, whatever works.
Yes.
I'm always learning from everyone. So awesome. I'm sure your students are very blessed to have you. So, thank you. Keep in touch.
Yes. I hope to talk to you again sometime. Thanks, Judy.
You got it. See you later.
Bye-bye.